You're just about to speak and meet someone who was trapped inside as those protesters breached the building. Kadia Goba is a Congress reporter for Axios. She's been a guest on our program before, but these are extraordinary circumstances bringing her back. She's in Washington this morning. Kadia, welcome back to our program.
Thank you for having me.
And awfully glad to be able to talk to you after what you experienced and witnessed, because you were in the House Press Gallery, I understand, when those first reports came that the Trump supporters had breached the Capitol and were there in the building itself. It quickly escalated. Take me through what you, from that start, and then how quickly it became pretty much out of control, it seems.
Sure. So we heard, as a reporter, you're constantly checking news feeds and social media. So we were aware of the breach before it was formally announced on the House floor from a Capitol Police member. And at that point, it was sort of surreal because it was the first time members on the floor had an understanding that there was a threat, an imminent threat, outside of the bubble of the House chambers. At that point, the member of the Capitol Police said that they had breached the Capitol, and then about 6 minutes later, he came back to say that they were closer than they expected. They were at the rotunda, and then the third indication of a threat was at the point where they told us that someone had administered tear gas, and at that point, members should reach under their seats, grab shielding or face mask or gas mask, and be prepared to be relocated.
Okay, we just pause on that. So they're reaching for their gas masks, and we also had reports that some had sort of makeshift weapons. They're getting down. I mean, did you have a gas mask at any point accessible to you? I mean, what are you doing and thinking as they're being told that?
Alarmed, but immediately within seconds, I turned around and one of the gallery staff members was handing reporters gas masks. So I was assured, and which I was relieved about, I'd have to say.
Understandably. And so when they moved then, the House representative to undisclosed locations, secure locations, did you move as well?
So, yeah, there was a period where they told us to go get down. At that point, Capitol Police and as well as some members had pushed a large piece of furniture into the front entrance of the doorway where the mob was basically banging the door. And then it was kind of a mix of like looking and kind of ducking and trying to report and tweet. Someone pierced the window of the Capitol doors, and that's the scene that you're looking at now. At that point, they rushed several reporters as well as some House members that were in the gallery area out of the building, or I should say out of the House chambers, and down flight of stairs into an undisclosed location. We did pass several protesters, mobs, whatever you want to call them, laying down on the floor at the behest of the Capitol Police, who had their firearms
drawn on them.
Yeah.
Okay, you're running, you're down, and as you say, the professional Kadia is covering this. But at what point does the personal, like the woman Kadia, go, I'm worried for my safety here? Or did you ever have that moment?
No. I have to say, when I was crouched down, my editor called me and I was giving her details when they started moving us out. And it wasn't like a gentle move. It was kind of like move, go, walk, but like stern direction. Many of the members, Member Heiss, Benny Thompson, Hank Johnson, were kind of like, they were very calm. They just kind of helped us throughout the area. And at one point, I even interviewed Rep. Walsh from Vermont for 2.5 minutes on a video call, doing a video. So it was, and this was walking to the undisclosed location. So it was a mixture of feelings. There was a lot of adrenaline. uh, a lot of banging, a lot of, not understanding what was happening, but appreciating how I had to capture this moment in history.
Which you have, and we're just so thankful that you're telling us about your experience as you lived it and reported on it. The time that you were in that secure location, what happened there?
Members, to be clear, I did not go in the same place where the
Okay.
secure
Wasn't
location.
sure if you were with the representatives at all.
Um, a, a member was actually thoughtful enough to bring a bunch of reporters and photographers into another location, and we just stayed there for about 3 hours. And it was just about keeping touch with members of Axios and kind of trying to recount what happened and just coming to grips of what happened, looking at social media. At that point, I hadn't seen what was transpiring for a good 15, 20 minutes outside, and how it had gone and how they had pierced, or how they had been able to go in to the Capitol. And then obviously finding out what kind of casualties happened, and hearing about members, and if we're going to proceed with the actual joint session, which we did, as you see.
You did, and we should just let people know you covered that right through and got home at 5 o'clock in the morning, but got up to talk to us. So always the journalist throughout, and obviously continuing all of that. As you say, as you talked amongst yourselves and tried to come to grips with what was happening, where did you land? What do you think has just happened?
I think I was in a really dangerous situation. I can't say I ever really felt secure when we understood what was going on. I, I don't. I never looked at the Capitol or the House chambers as being such a secure location, and again, it's kind of hard to put into words. It almost feels surreal, even a matter of going back after we did and seeing the wrappings of the discarded the discarded wrappers from the face mask that we were wearing, and laptops just left, because people assumed that they would come right back. Uh, it, it, it was an appreciation of a lot of confusion and what's at stake, and how safe, frankly, you are when you enter the Capitol.
Yeah, you'll be thinking about that again as you go back to do your job. But obviously, you can sort of see you even this morning as the enormity of it all becomes increasingly clear. When you go back today, or I'm assuming you will be today, ongoing coverage of the story, what do you think the story, where is it going to turn today?
Yeah, so I've been instructed not to go back today, so maybe I'll go back the following day. I'll definitely catch Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi, on TV. She's going to have a press conference, but I think there needs to be a lot of conversation about the security of the Capitol. And keep in mind, for the past 8 months, we can't even get visitors inside the Capitol because of COVID-19 restrictions. So the juxtaposition or the contrast is it's sort of incredible to know that there weren't enough measures to keep members of the House of Representatives and the Senate safe. Had there been a more persistent push by all of the many people that you saw entering the Capitol, as well as reporters, obviously. But I mean, that's a little scary. I've covered protests outside of the White House, and this was very different. So I think there's going to be a big recall on, or a big examination as to Capitol Police's role in protecting members on the Hill.
Or failing to, as you say, a reckoning in terms of that, and a suggestion from many this morning, actually, Kadia, you probably heard that there will be people who lose their jobs because of that kind of lack of response or insufficient response. Thank you for today. Thank you for sharing your experience. And as we were saying, really glad to be able to speak to you today. Kadia Goba from Washington.
Thank you.